along with Alarm. Now, here we are. This is a scary proposition for Toronto Esports along with Fusion University. Both Alarm and Shu can flex off to try and add additional DPS. We'll see who is the better one now, as Shu is already hovering over that Widowmaker. We got to see it yesterday, ZP.
And this is a case where you'd look at it from someone on the outside and go, oh, you're not really going to be putting your support on Widowmaker. This isn't a real thing. He's going to swap. No, he's not. He is going to run this, and Cruz is perfectly fine with staying in the back and being the solo support here. However, Fusion University, they do, in fact, do their studies. They should be aware that this is a thing, and we'll see just how they react to it, where Who Are You? Very likely going to be hunting down Shu early on here.
I mean, yeah, we are here in the Upside Down, in Australia for Junkertown, which allows anything to happen. Solo support compositions all the time. Elk will be on the Mercy opposite end. It's Cruz for that solo support for Toronto Esports. Zachary already making his intentions known to the other side. I am playing Widow. And we do have some love coming back from Guardian there on the opposite end.
It's a bold move. We'll see if it pays off, where I do think for this hubris, it would be pretty entertaining if Zachary just took one from Shu immediately. He's like, maybe I should do that in the future. That was a bad idea.
All right, Toronto Esports now at the gate. They've got the double sniper composition, but they are not running, of course, a bastion that a lot of teams would like to do. So no real pirate ship coming out, but we do have that Orisa Hog. It's going to be Dalton on the Roadhog.
Meanwhile, for Toronto, you have Nero on one side, and Dalton got Zachary immediately. Zachary is, in fact, punished a little bit, but Elk is there as his life insurance policy. Alarm got the Orisa of all people on the other side, and that's going to be hurting Toronto's approach in all respects, as Fusion now can consider, do you want to dive in a little bit more? But with Axiom getting res back up, it's going to be more of a stalemate. Both teams resetting just a bit.
It was a res for a res, so it's still a full 6 versus 6 here. As the payload is slowly inching forward, Alarm will push forward to try and put a stop to this, try and at least contest it now. But take a look, Who Are You? He's already at 66%, but Shu starts it off. Zachary's gone.
Zachary out one more time, but Elk goes, I got you. Extra lives for everyone. Who Are You on the other end? Taken down by Shu. Shu starting to feel his groove on this Widow, just as he did against Optic. Moving over to the left now, looking for Zachary. Zachary, no more extra lives for you. Game over, man. Game over. As Toronto Esports should be able to roll this right to point A.
Shu just able to play Duck Hunt there at the end as he forced out the Resurrection. And then, of course, we had that Holt headshot combo this time coming up for the Orisa and the Widowmaker. Take a look. Shu had just already used Zipper Sight, and he's already getting so much damage off. He's at 45% towards another one now. Nero's got his Dragon Blade, so we could have that like mini Space Dragon combo coming out from them.
All right, early dive from Beast Halo, gonna work out. They get Shu out of it, but oh, look out, there's a dragon, and it's going to be zoning out Fusion. Doesn't quite get a kill though, did come awfully close. The payload still moving for Toronto.
This is going to be the difficult aspect here, especially after Kraken Lacking gets hooked on in. Self-destruct gets the kill onto Dalton. Who Are You with the blade now into the back. He will get punished by Axiom, but still, damage has been done. Fusion University are going to force back Toronto Esports.
And we saw there, Kraken Lacking was basically a cattle herder there, where his self-destruct herded everyone into a corner where Who Are You was ready and waiting for harvest.
Not only is she a protection bot, she's also a shepherd. Did you not know that, ZP? It's lore, by the way. Oh, what's also lore is that Shu is a nutty Widow.
Omnics do not do well against smug purple women. They do not protect their brain cases very well. Shu coming on the other side. Recon Stite guiding his hand, looking for Elk, unable to connect. Not getting Who Are You either. Who Are You? He sees him. He's heading on over. Shu, though, gets him on the other side. And Toronto still going to maintain their assault.
Now we didn't really get to see this double sniper composition coming out from many other teams, other than maybe like NYXL throughout the group stages. So for Shu to show up in this performance, Nero has since swapped off, but Shu has been such a huge impactful player on this Widow so far. Take a look at how aggressive he is too. Doesn't even get punished.
Zen main, by the way. Really worth
DPS main, you mean? Yeah.
And already Shu gets Zachary on the other side, continuing to pick off people as Toronto holds the front line. It is Shu that has truly been revolutionary here for Toronto, and likely going to result in them getting point B here. This is heavy momentum, 4.5 minutes for Toronto here on Junkertown.
We talked about taking the momentum away from Fusion University, and that's what Widowmaker does. brings you to a screeching halt. So now Toronto Esports, the momentum, the ball is in their court now as Fusion University are just scrambling to find anything.
Toronto setting up here in the middle, looking to capitalize on their momentum, and they're going to just lob that self-destruct over. Guardian fishing for Fusion, but it will not connect. The self-destruct on, oh my goodness. Doesn't matter if the self-destruct did. Shugat, who are you again? And this means the payload continues to move forward. Alarm balls on the other side, and Shu might be finding Zachary here. Can anyone save him? No, they can't.
Zachary just taking out his frustrations on Shu there. Backhand after backhand, finally takes him out. But it doesn't matter. Will they be able to stop them? Dalton with the kill onto Elk is going to allow them to continue to press forward now as Crackalakin gets demeched, gets destroyed, and this payload will continue to chug on.
Questionable trade-off there for Crackalakin, where I think he could have just gotten away. Did by a little bit of delay, but look at how much time now is going forward where Fusion can't engage. Now, however, they're going to be looking to engage. Who are you on the top? Dragon Blade loaded. They're diving on in. Here comes the Blade. Who are you in the back line? Just slashing his way through Toronto, making everything work. And Toronto going to be held back for now.
Yep, Shu did swap off there, so he's on the Moira. Because he was on the Widowmaker that entire time, not on the Zenyatta, they didn't have the counter ultimate to try and deal with it. Shu now resetting himself once again, even though he was only at about 50% on that Moira. Is gonna go over to that Zenyatta because might as well. You are reset in terms of ultimate. Never mind who are you. He's just too good with those shurikens and the deflect.
He almost got the deflection orb headshot kill from that. I don't even know what to say to that as Fusion continues to reset.
Fusion University now, they've got the nano boost. It's out onto Crackalakin, and he's going right into the back line. No damage coming out onto him at all whatsoever. Sleep Dart is gonna get covered, but here comes the self-destruct. Dalton!
What an alarm clock there. Ding, ding, ding. It's time to get up. Well, Cruz actually will be waking him up as it turns on out. And that combo, though, highly delaying Toronto Esports here in the moment. And that was definitely not the start they envisioned. And more importantly to all that, Valkyrie was up for Cruz. It was wasted the entire time. And Beast Halo, he's going in for a party, dives on in. He's primal raging, and it is a party room right now, knocking people to and fro. And Beast Halo, he's gonna die, but the disruption he did sets up Who Are You for the double.
Oh, the Swift Strikes just laying waste to the Toronto Esports squad. And take a look. We're talking about Rusty Blades. Nero has been sitting on his for quite some time now. Who Are You? Used one, built up another one throughout all that. And now it's going to be, of course, Fusion University. They are running a little bit low on ultimates. They've got the Transcendence along with the Blade, but Toronto Esports are coming up on so many of their own. Most importantly, a Transcendence to answer Who Are You's Blade.
And that's something you need versus Who Are You, because it doesn't even need the Blade to kill you most of the time, but I gotta tell you, Transcendence to make sure the Blade doesn't do its work, pretty effective. And Who Are You? He's gonna dive on in. Shu there with the response. The Transcendence lets Who Are You just slash some air. Now we'll see if Toronto can counter-engage. The Blade came out from Nero in turn, but it's also not going to do much. Neither Genji actually practiced their fencing much at all in that moment.
That was actually great. Who Are You dashes in, he pulls out the Blade, he sees the Trans, instantly dashes right back out, and he forces out the Blade from the opposite end, Nero. So he got 2-for-1 exchange on that. Now Beast Halo goes on in. Who Are You with the nano boost, already at 45, 50%, 56 as he dashes through everyone. About to have his Blade once more.
Well, you know, when you throw the Blade through the air, it's actually easier to maintain. You can just bring it back up a little bit earlier. At least that's Who Are You's head logic here, as he's at 61% already.
I mean, we knew he already had the projectiles and the shurikens. Might as well just go ahead and throw in the Wazikashi there. So now it's coming down to the last 20 seconds, Toronto Esports. They need further progress, and that's a great way to do it. Shu, once again, starting it all off. Zachary has gone down.
6 on 5, they're not even waiting. They're going, go, go, go. Zachary's out of the fight. He won't be for long, but they're trying to get more of an advantage. Unfortunately for Toronto, Fusion is backing up all the while. If they could get Beast Halo before Primal Rage, it would be a good play here, but Beast Halo will get healed on up. Fusion has dealt with the pick. We're in overtime. They get to counter-engage the other way. A Transcendence at the ready.
Oh, no.
And Zachary, it's a salty run back. Shu, blow the smithereens. Who Are You with the Blade? Moving on through, and this is looking quite good for Fusion here. They pile on the Transcendence, and wakey, wakey. Elk's Sleep Dart setting up Who Are You there, and that is going to be Fusion holding off Toronto here before the last on Junkertown.
Toronto did make some good progress though, but their momentum came to a screeching halt That Widowmaker bought them a lot of real estate, but once we got there onto third, the dive was just too potent coming out from Philadelphia. Now Fusion University, they're sitting on the verge of a 4-0 victory, and that's where they need to push it to, right there. That yellow box of victory here on the 3rd point of Junkertown.
All they need to do is turn Junkertown into a victory lap, and they will be the champions of North America Contenders Season 1, and what a journey it would be, where, by the way, they would be undefeated. The perfect season in the sense that they have not lost a single series all season long. What a journey it would be for them.
Fusion University, so close now. Who are you? Ready for his 3rd championship now, the Apex champion, the Apex Predator, as rubber is gonna hit the pavement.
You know, I think Junkrat just goes and finds those tires and then rigs them up with his explosives. Because I feel like that's what he does here. He's just after hours just rocking around. He's like, yeah, I'll make this my tire.
I mean, basically right there, you saw the car junkyard outside. He's just scrapping them from everyone. Now, it's going to be Nero, by the way, picking up the Junkrat here, which is a composition that we're more used to seeing here on Junkertown. We didn't see it either from the offense or the defense our first go around, but Nero will go ahead and use it. Shu, once again, picking up that Widowmaker because he had great success with it on their offense.
He was the most impactful player for Toronto, period, and it wasn't when he was on his support. And it's not that he's a bad support player, but his Widowmaker was giving the punching power that Toronto just has not had in the series. We'll see if he can make a good play here and check Zachary early on.
So Fusion University going to play this kind of standard. They've got the Roadhog, they've got the Orisa. It's going to be Zachary on the Widowmaker and Who Are You on the Genji. Crackalack already dropped down low, had to use that, take a breather to get back into this, and Shu once again wins the Widow battle up against Zachary. He will get res back into this, but now Holt, Hook, come on in, Crackalack and gets taken down.
Early start for Toronto, working out well here. Shu seemingly has Zachary's number, and he's calling it multiple times, looking for him once more. You see Zachary going to the right. Shu is at the ready, and this Widow game just taking place while Fusion still trying to push up the payload. And Toronto, definitely more under pressure to make this defense more aggressive than usual.
Axiom was dropped low, but he will survive, and so Cruz is going to be able to farm that up. Already at 70% towards that Valkyrie. We'll see if they can use it. Nero now at 83% towards his Riptire, and that's going to be the first thing that they're going to be able to use to try and put a stop and crack through this offense.
Well, Shu in the back, getting tank damage in while being very aware of where Zachary might be. Here comes the tire, Nero. Again, just looking for a little bit of stagger here, moving around. Oh, the tire's hooked and taken down. Who are you? Dashes on in and says, I kill not men, I also deflate your tires. And whoa, Arisa's, suddenly they can fly. Who are you, though? About to have a blade coming in from the other side. Looking for what he can get in on here. No, taken down by Shu. He's got to wait a little bit longer on that one.
But just the sheer presence of Who Are You? He lands about 3 shurikens onto Cruz, and Cruz says, I am out of here. Oh, Zachary takes out Shu, and now Valkyrie is about to subside for the side of Toronto Esports. Another Halt and Hook comes in. Beast Halo is gone, but Zachary takes out Cruz. Resurrection onto Beast Halo. We are back into another fight.
Cruz had to get really out of position to bring the res up, but Shu, God, who are you again? Over and over, Shu continues to be the hero. The tire off in the other end, but Zachary stops it.
Pick him up!
Can Elk get back in? Is Elk gonna fall? Did Elk get back towards the edge?
Elk survived.
Yeah, he did. He did. Just barely. That was scary. Good SF play by Elk, but it's Shu. That is the iron wall right now for Toronto. They have to deal with him.
2 minutes already burned off the clock of Fusion University, and they still have not pushed it beyond this little bridge, this murder chasm that they have set up. Who Are You, though, has taken out Axiom. Will they be able to res this? They're trying. Beast Halo tries to cover it, but he gets a hook in as the Transcendence comes out.
And Cruz got out safely. Cruz is still alive. Axiom and Cruz, Shu! God, Who Are You again? How does he keep doing this? Zachary punishes Shu finally, gets rid of the Beast. Nero coming in off the flank, though. Almost has the tire to work on end, but he's gonna have to work quickly. Who Are You? Blades on end, but whole hog back the other way. Just still alive all the while. Tire now out from Nero, but I don't know if it can bring it back. It gets Crackalack, and Toronto trying to come back in, but they're so outnumbered.
Oh, and we saw Who Are You getting caught in a trap there. Zachary trying his best to take out both tanks, but man, Dalton is keeping this alive for them. He will finally fall, but Beast Halo taking out the Junker duo will allow them to secure this. And oh no, Zachary tries to wipe his feet, that Widowmine off of his boots, and he takes a shot to the head.
He goes, all right, surely Shu isn't here. Yeah, he is. Shu's everywhere right now. And the only way that Fusion even got through there was the one time that Zachary got on Shu. He has been the best player in Toronto, bar none.
Shu, once again with that Widowmaker already at 37% towards another Infrasight alarm. We'll have a Transcendence now already at 97 for himself. Holt, hook, didn't connect. It looked like it was onto the fortified Orisa.
Zachary got Shu early on. Now Fusion might be able to make up for lost time here. Quickly going through second. An alarm. He can use the Transcend. He might use it to save Beast-Halo. No, doesn't have the opportunity. Instead, they're going to use the Transcend to cover the res. Fusion still committing here to this fight. But Shu, while it's happening, God, who are you? Once more, Shu is back into the fight, and you have to deal with them. Zachary tried to check him here as Fusion getting gummed up a bit, but that self-destruct makes a little bit of room.
Now Kraken getting that kill onto Axiom will allow them to open on up. The Fortify keeps Beast Halo alive from that Riptire. Self-destruct gets nothing, but Dalton will get the D-Mech onto Kraken, and Nero with the follow-up will finish him off. We'll see if Toronto could try and push them back even further, but Shu takes the skies, takes first shot, but he does not connect here. But things have slowed down, but here comes the blade from Who Are You?
Who Are You not able to get on the Shu here, looking for Roadhog, has to deflect. Gets into the back nonetheless. Guardian's D-Mac, he's on down. Double kill for Who Are You. Dash resets for days, and that is enough for Fusion University. Point B will be theirs.
Now Shu will swap off from that Widowmaker. It becomes so difficult to play here on point 3, just because of this little underpass we see on the left. Who Are You or anyone can use it to flank, and so now Nero, he's gonna go onto the Genji himself. He's got to be careful. Who Are You has been winning out in these Genji battles.
It's 3 minutes between Fusion University and Destiny right now. About 2 team fights to be champions. Toronto must hold if they want to have any chance of entertaining bringing this one back. Fusion now looking towards this next fight. A fight which could decide their destiny. You see Toronto decide to move on in with the early Valkyrie. The sleep comes on in, and Toronto just protecting that in the moment. Getting onto the payload and pushing Fusion back.
Beast Halo did fall there. They'll be able to reset this. But it's going to be Toronto Esports trying their best to get any staggers to try and burn off the clock as much as possible. Fusion University, remember, they still have 2 minutes and 10 seconds here. Who Are You with another blade? Zachary starts it off. Axiom gets too aggressive. Beast Halo falls once again, but Zachary finds the second kill. Elk brings Beast Halo back into this, and Who Are You's blade finds the double kill. That's both supports. They're going to get Guardian, and they'll continue to press forward. Toronto Esports, their only hope is going to be Guardian, of all things, with that self-destruct, and they need to get onto the point.
One fight for Fusion University and being champions. Here's Who Are You against Dalton. Gigantic pickoff here for Fusion University. 6 on 5. Meters within victory. Toronto staggering their way back onto the point. They're trying to make it through. The self-destruct doesn't work. Alarm got Guardian even before he could ream back. And now with the man advantage, Fusion just need a little bit more. Zachary on the ground. Who Are You diving on in. Toronto buying a little bit of time with the Transcendence here. Nero gets alarm, and Toronto might be able to stabilize yet.
Nero's blade only gets alarm here. Elk is still using that Valkyrie, but with that elimination onto Beast Halo, they might just be able to bring this back. Oh, the resurrection onto alarm, but Elk pays for it with his life. But Kraken is trying to get this life. Who Are You with another blade? He's on top of the Mercy, but Axiom is there to cover her. Cruz ultimately does fall to Kraken. Still going back and forth, but Axiom will be able to jump into the back, take out alarm, and send them back. Now Fusion University, they're down to 44 seconds.
You saw Who Are You looking for the hero play there. It just didn't happen.
I mean, there are only so many hero plays that you can draw upon at this point. Your power slowly depletes, but Who Are You? He's got 30 seconds to try and build up a blade, and if any man can do it, it is him.
Who Are You very good in these late moment situations. 20 seconds left to go at 1 team fight margin. Fusion trying to put Toronto away. Moving on in here once more. And now. They wait. They have to not go in too deeply. They're going at the Transcendence, and they're looking for these early kills. Elto got blown up on the other side. They're not going to rely on that support. Dalton and Nero holding from Tron. It's Nero in the back, slicing on through. Who are you? Out of gas. And the positioning in from Toronto going to be enough. Overtime is ticking away, and Fusion not quite putting this one away yet.
Woo. We have a series on our hands, boys, and we are now going to map 5, but still, it's going to be a precarious one for Toronto because now it is, of course, Philadelphia Fusion's University Squad's opportunity for the map pick.
And what we saw there was classic Toronto at the very end, where it was Dalton and Nero coming back into rare form when they were needed most for the Toronto side. Also, let's give credit where credit is due. That was a ridiculous performance coming in from Shu, where you're just like, what do you expect from Widowmaker? Not that. But they were able to get that level of performance, and he doesn't even play Widow as a normal course. He's normally their Zen main, so that flexing from Shu was huge.
We've heard from the team that, you know what, he might be OWL caliber Widowmaker, and we are already seeing it on display. He has been able to hit headshot after headshot, especially on someone like Zachary, winning those Widow duels time and again, and that just completely stops the momentum of someone like Zachary, who is, you know, when you're playing that Widowmaker, you need to be able to draw upon that, but he had no footing whatsoever.
Not only that, but he put Who Are You in the grave more times than we could count. But guys, this series, it's not over. Toronto, they're fighting tooth and nail. We're going to a break, and then we're heading to the desk.
Welcome back to Overwatch Contenders. It's the North American final, and we thought Fusion University had it in the bag. However, Toronto has pulled back. They have just claimed a map, but we are leading into match points because all Fusion needs to do is win the next map to take the series. We'll chat a bit about that in a while, but first, I want to talk about how difficult it must have been for Toronto Esports to find a jersey big enough to fit over Shu's shoulders.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy, and who would have thought it? Junkertown being his map on the Widowmaker, this flex support that goes straight onto a DPS role. I mean, honestly, can you find a jersey that big? I don't think you can. He solo carried that first point. He was beating out Zachary on his Widowmaker as well. There was nothing stopping this guy. He was receiving so many resources as well. Cruz was constantly damage boosting him, just making sure they could build up to Infocytes and just winning the fights from there. And
we saw this yesterday though, and I kind of thought in the semi-final when we saw him jump into the Widowmaker, I was like, oh, that's cute. Not really thinking this was a serious play. He came in here. The only time Fusion was able to push that payload was the moment they took Shu out.
Yeah, and when we talked to Toronto Esports beforehand, when we arrived in Poland, they did tell us that Shu is possibly an Overwatch League tier Widowmaker. He's incredibly good, but it wasn't only Shu, there was also so much space being made for him by Nero and Dalton. Nero coming up on that Hanzo when Shu started to sow discord and panic amongst the backline of Fusion University. That's when Nero managed to get the kills as well, including a scatter arrow kill on the tanks, which are so hard to take down sometimes with those sniper heroes.
Toronto's got all the pressure on them now because they cannot let Fusion win another map. One of the things we saw here in Junkertown is when they controlled the pace and they slowed it down to their pace, it seemed to work more in their favor. That's obviously maybe what they need to do moving forward. The pace seems to be the thing that if they dictate it, it's better for them.
Yeah, for sure. I think Shu was the mastermind behind that, in all honesty. He was really setting that tempo, like you just mentioned. That's what they need to do in the next couple of games. But the next the next map type, is Control, which is going to be extremely tough for them because there's a very few maps that I can't see Shu playing Widow on. Maybe Elios, put him on Ruins, maybe, but he's going to have to be the guy that comes up clutch once again because if it looks like if Toronto are winning, it's mainly Shu in the driver's seat, right? And I want to see Cruz I want to see if Cruz can kind of rally his team once again. We talked about it a bit earlier before about he's this really confident guy that really just instills confidence in the rest of his squad.
And the way that the tempo works was because Beast Taylor was putting on the Orisa, and I remember on the defense we could see how Toronto Esports would engage into that Orisa and try and dictate the tempo of the game, make sure they're always taking fights in favorable positions. However, when Beast Taylor is on the Winston, we said it's sometimes a liability, but it always allows him to dictate the pace, because Beast Taylor, he makes some unexpected dives, and while it may make him take a lot of damage, as a defense you're not expecting it, you may be caught off guard, and that creates the space for Zachary and Who Are You to go in, as well as Alarm to get the frags at the back.
When we went into map 3, so we're starting to go all the way back there, if you even remember that, because all the action was on Junkertown, but even at the start of Horizon, there were these moments of brilliance from Toronto. They need to pull that all together now for this final map.
Yeah, the dive was pretty stellar on the first point of Horizon Lunar Colony, and despite a brave attempt from Fusion University to bring it back with a sort of counter-attack, we did see some great cerebral play from Toronto when they baited in Beast Taylor, made sure that they took advantage of that weakness, quickly took him out, and then there was very little beef for Fusion University to put on the point, because when you can't stay on there for long with your tiny health balls, you're not going to be able to keep that point alive.
Same thing on Horizon though, and jumping over to Fusion, Elk on Anna. That is an impressive play.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty, actually. Beast Halo being one of these guys that needs a lot of healing, like you said, just throwing him in, just making sure his team can kind of play around him when he goes for these unexpected dives is something that they want to keep in mind. And Elk jumping over to the Anna is perfect for that. Nano boost on him, he gets damage resistance, and he gets the damage buff also. And alongside that, a good old-fashioned grenade into a Harmony Orb does a whole lot of healing, especially if you throw in a couple of darts extra. His positioning also, classic Horizon positioning in the back right or left, just on the second point that is, and just kind of moving between the two. It also stops Fusion from, it also stops Toronto actually setting up on that high ground. Nade can be such a deadly weapon when you use it, when it's in the right hands. You can throw it up against the wall and the window where where the enemy DPS are going to be likely sitting, with the help of a Zenyatta or a Mercy pocketing them, reduces all the healing, and those nade spots aren't hard to hit either. It covers an entire entranceway and it stops a push in its tracks.
This is what the stakes are. It is the match point. If Fusion University wins the next map, they win the series. They are our Contenders champions. It's their map pick because the loser picks. So they're coming in with their map pick. It's on Control. We saw them on Control. They are super strong. How does Toronto deal with this? Because the pressure is now on. I'm almost 100% sure all those players are well aware that even though they've come from a map win, they're technically coming into this map on the back foot.
Well, Nepal does lend itself to a lot of tank play, so I imagine that we're actually going to be going to Oasis on the pick of Fusion University, and there we are likely to see Who Are You on the Farah, of course. So really, you may need to try and play a double hit scan composition between Dalton and Era to try and make sure that Who Are You is never going to be sitting comfortably in the air.
Yeah, we've seen Dalton on a couple of his scans, but his Tracer is really his key tool. So flexing off that, going to a Soldier, and honestly, like you mentioned, maybe just going with double hit scan, like McCree Soldier, and then pocket it with with Cruz on the Mercy. That might just be able to end Huiu's life and just hopefully take the control of the game from there. Problem is, you do have to get the high ground in most of those situations. Just stick the McCree up on the high ground. Make sure Cruz has an avenue of escape as well if he's just sifting between the two. Have the soldier actually on the point so he can use his Bartic field to get their tactical visors quicker. That is their key to success.
Here it is. Fusion University, the favorites coming in. Unbeaten. They are strong, they are powerful, and they have shown it. However, Toronto Esports, the young guns, they are fighting back. They need to stop them from winning this map, and all Fusion needs to do is claim it. Who is going to be your North American Overwatch Contenders Season 1 champions? We are about to find out. Let's push this payload down that path to pro and head on over to ZP and Jamerson.
Well, Toronto, you might be on probation, but you're not expelled just yet. You are alive here in the North American Finals, where it's 3-1. Fusion has an edge, and yet Toronto is still alive.
And if you want to talk about an edge, you have to remember that throughout the group stage, that Philadelphia Fusion University, they were taken to map number 5 4 times. And what was that map, CP?
That map going forward, where you had Fusion, of course, going to Oasis, where you to think about how they played on this, they were very good on Oasis. This is the map where, yes, they were taken to Game 5s over and over again, and yet, of course, going into these Game 5s, they were victorious over and over again. So you'd think that maybe they didn't like going to these Game 5s that much. They said as much to us in the beginning. They're still good at winning Oasis.
That means that they have a 100% win rate on Oasis, and they know how comfortable they are. They say they are a control point team, and so they might be able to close it out here. It is 3-1 in favor of Fusion University. Will they walk away your North American champions here? Just 2 short points. That's all they need to finish this off, ZP. And then, of course, to face off a little bit later today against the British Hurricane, who are laying in wait for that Atlantic showdown.
That's right. The fun doesn't end here. If you're watching this and going, I'm going to watch the end of the series and then I'm going to go to bed. No, no, no. You don't have to do that, because we have, of course, the NA versus EU showdown coming right after this, but NA still might have so much more to offer here as Toronto tries to stay alive. We're going to be going over to Oasis, where Nero looks to be heading on to that Pharah.
And that is because we are here on Garden. A lot of people, would traditionally say it is a Pharah Mercy map. And why not? It becomes so difficult to try and keep her within your full damage potential range, especially as something like a McCree or a Soldier 76. It is going to be the McCree, though, coming out for Fusion University.
And McCree really has not had the best success rate here in Contenders when people have brought him out, where in theory, he can be quite good in these situations. In practice, you're giving the opponents something heavy to dive on. Toronto, we'll see if they can make Zachary's life hard here as we move into this Garden stage.
Gates have unlocked and both teams are dashing on out. Fusion University up 2 maps up against Toronto Esports now. As the Pharah just shelling them down. Alarm was dropped a little bit low, and it's Elk who's dropped down about 5 HP, but he's got the pocket of Alarm to keep him alive.
Elk lucky to get out of that one with his life. Zachary, meanwhile, arrow hunting, and it's a big one. Gets you for sure! And this is the power of McCree when played well. The explosiveness that we have not seen. Zachary making his mark hugely here on the Gardens.
The Orb of Discord, along with the damage boost of that Mercy, it is so strong. The McLady composition are able to take out both the birds in the sky instantly. Toronto Esports are going to go ahead and swap that off. Nero now going over to the Sombra.
Nero off the swap here, and the reason, of course, is that he doesn't want to give the McCree the opportunity to do that again. They've also swapped off the Mercy. Does he get it? Alarm, you're not flying back from that one. Cruz knocking him right off into the ocean on the other side, and that is a nice lead in here from Toronto. Zachary, though, going to get brought back up. Fusion can still contest this here, where even in a losing fight, they can delay, get more progress, but they're losing this fight perhaps a little bit too quickly even for that.
We're used to Garden having these long, drawn-out, extended fights, but Toronto will be able to put an end to that. And Fusion University only secured 41%, but coming into this, they still have to be careful. Nero doesn't have his EMP quite yet, and he sees Zachary on that McCree, instantly translocates out as soon as that flashbang comes out.
and that was on the edge of life and death there, but Nero rides that line rather well, going to have an EMP up after just one fight, moving in here. Fusion, meanwhile, coming in from the main gates, leaving room open for Zachary. Zachary, though, not having the easiest time of getting targets out. There's not a Pharah floating in the sky like a blimp. And Nero diving in from the back. There's but the flashbang caught him. Zachary takes down Nero. Unfortunately for Zachary, though, the dive was coming in on all ends, and Toronto was still going to clean up what the Sombra started.
Zachary does get res back into this, so they have to worry about that threat. Now, Sound Barrier will be used by Toronto Esports to continue this fight. Now, 41% secured. Zachary goes down once again. Primal Rage is used as Who Are You finds a kill onto Axiom with his Pulse Bomb. Beast Halo trying his best to find more, but he is being bumped around now. Chased down. He will fall to Dalton. Fusion University, they're going to try and back out. They need to keep Kraken Lacken alive, but no, he goes back in. He gets demeched.
And this is not a case where you want to be delaying this out. Toronto's in full control. They'll take this fight all day and all night. And Toronto now, 1 to 2 fights away from taking this first round.
67% and ticking up for Toronto, and they are sitting with some great ultimates to try and stall this. They've got Axiom with the Primal Rage. Guardian has his self-destruct. Nero, he is getting close to that EMP at 60%. They just need to delay this a little bit longer, and that might be the coup d'etat they need.
Fusion unable to get a good engage here early on. His alarm goes down quickly. Toronto off the flank, getting right into that Fusion backline, and Shu gonna drop some anime on them. The Coalescence piercing on through, and Toronto Esports now less than a fight away from taking this round.
It is the coup d'etat indeed, as they are going to be able to dethrone Fusion University so far on this map now, taking away the advantage they had earlier on. Toronto Esports will be able to take this 100-41.
Even though Fusion University is still working with a huge edge, this is where if you're a Fusion fan at home, you're starting to feel that chill creep up your lower back right now going, uh-oh. This is scary because this is where you're starting to witness a team gaining momentum here. The storyline could be being built before our eyes, especially if Toronto is able to take this round.
And now we do have differing dive compositions coming out currently. As right now it's Fusion University going for the Genji Tracer, but on the opposite end, Toronto Esports are going to go for that Sombresa, I believe, is what our colleagues from across the pond called it.
Oh my goodness. The things you call combinations, but regardless, the Sombra will be in play here for Toronto on the University side. Dalton already getting to fray here, trying to challenge Zachary on the other end. And it's Fusion with the superior positioning. They're going to grab the high ground early on, but Toronto goes, we're going to focus more on the point. Point, though, not yet unblocked, so Toronto might want to reset just a bit as Cruz has to reposition, but does so quickly.
Zachary on the lure comes in from the fringes, but he gets dropped low, has to back away as the point is about to unlock. Neither team able to get an elimination quite yet, but it's Toronto Esports with positioning starting to tick up now. It is being contested. Who Are You? Forced to dash back. Beast Halo jumps in. Instantly, the counter dive comes out. Axiom takes him out.
And they get rid of Beast Halo immediately. That lets Toronto, oh no, they don't stand the point! Fusion ends up taking the point even while down a tank. Toronto making a similar mistake to what they made back on Horizon, and as a result, Fusion, even in fight that was losing on their end, they maintain control. Crackwacken though, going to be demexed, and Fusion, they're going to try and get every bit of delay possible. They come in with Transcendence, and Dalton, yeah, you flood up Zachary, but the delay is still there, and Fusion can walk away with a bit of a victory.
Guardian now cleaning up Beast Halo, but they're still fighting back. Who Are You with the blade? We'll see if he gets anything off of it. It's the sound barrier that deters a lot of this damage, and Shu is able to kite back with the help of Dalton, picks him off, but still, it's Fusion University with control of the point, so every delaying second matters for them. It's gonna be 38% before Toronto flip it.
A mental judgment lapse on Toronto led to 38% for Fusion University. That can't happen in your professional Overwatch. It simply cannot.
A lot of ultimates were expended by Fusion in that last fight, though. So Toronto, they might be able to stall this out in a similar vein. Nero has that EMP along with Guardian's self-destruct, and Axiom only 12% away now from that Primal Rage. It's the EMP that comes out first. Here comes the dive. They get rid of Alarm, but Zachary has already answered back.
Axiom going to town on the Fusion backline right now. He led the way, got rid of the threat and Alarm, and Fusion unable to make the most of it. Who Are You? Not going to go anywhere after getting hacked.
The issue with that, though, even though that they were able to win that fight, the point is that they need to delay this longer for Shu and Cruz to be able to build up their support ultimates. But because they won the fight so quickly, they didn't get really any damage across onto their tanks.
Yeah, the point. They got to get back on the point. Oh my goodness, Toronto almost going at the point again for free. Fusion though, going to get caught off, but Axiom unable to dive as deep as he wants, but speaking of diving deep, Beast Halo down into the pit, actually able to stay alive as Zachary cleans up over on the top. Fusion now will rightly earn control of the point back once more.
61% goes over to Toronto, and that is what I'm talking about, the difference. If they had a sound barrier or a transcendence to use, it could have been great for them. They could have taken this up to 80, maybe 90%, but now it is Toronto who is on the back foot as Fusion University. They have all of the ultimates in the world to work with the exception of Beast Halo's Primal Rage, and of course Zachary on Tracer. He should have that very shortly.
And what Fusion's going to be looking for here with these ults is sound barrier first, early sound barrier, they got Cruz, and now they might not even need to use the blade. Who are you going to mull it over just a bit, but the self-destruct over the top, they get to save. And that's going to mean Toronto is going to be down to their final attempt to retake this point.
72% and ticking up. Fusion University want to tie this up and send themselves to match points against Toronto Esports, but they have some great tools for this retake. EMP once again, and last time we saw Alarm getting dove. We'll see where he is positioned right now, how far back he is in fear of this EMP.
And Nero, he's looking for Alarm here. Diving to the back, can't find where Alarm is. His fishing tour coming up empty, and now he might just be dropping the EP in the middle. There was Alarm hiding out the other window. He gets the early transcend. Nero doesn't feel comfortable EMPing it, and now Nero under pressure, hasn't even used it. Who are you trying to remove the threat? Can't do it just yet. Who are you? Diving in, blade out, gets Guardian before falling himself. Toronto can engage the barrier on the other end. The EMP has already been used, but I don't know if they have what it takes to get back in here. It's going to be very close. They do hack Beast Halo. Can they finish him off? Do they even have the people to get on the point? Nero right now against the world, trying to buy some time.
Overtime ticking away, and it's just Nero trying to keep this alive. Overtime takes so quickly there as Alarm takes out Shu, and now they're about to equalize it out. They get the kill on to Axiom, and they're hunting down the members of Toronto Esports. Alarm and Who Are You, the Korean duo, able to clean it up. They will tie it up. We're going to map 3.
You know what the most taught class in Fusion University is? What is part of their core curriculum?
Other than fission mechanics?
Other than that?
No.
Staying on the point, playing the objective, keeping your eye on the prize, because I tell you, it worked out well for them in the last round where Toronto gave up that first cap in a winning fight.
That was huge.
And they lost 40%. That very well could have turned the entire outcome of this map.
Also, beautiful play coming out from Zachary there. You were mentioning Nero was on the hunt for Alarm, could not find him. You saw one moment where he just kind of looked around like, where could he possibly be? But Alarm, with great positioning, was able to keep him out of that fight along with the rest of the Fusion University members. Now, it has come down to this. We are here, City Center. We'll see if Fusion University can close this out against Toronto Esports.
Fusion had a very good chance to close it out in Junkertown just a little bit ago. They get another chance here. Toronto not wasting much time, diving in early. They almost lose Shu. He's just barely able to fade out of there. Cruz gets a little bit of pressure on him right after, but Toronto able to restabilize. The support's still very much alive. Dalton on pressure on the flank, gets on out of there. Zachary in on the other side. And Toronto paying much more attention to the point this time around, keeping themselves healed up, winning the poke war, and Who Are You almost falls early as Toronto bullies Fusion off the point.
Zachary was also dropped down low there. We saw when he used his recall, he was only brought back to 80%, and he had to go back. Now Who Are You almost has that blade, but he needs to get healed up once again. Dalton starts it off. Alarm has fallen, but Who Are You will answer right back as Zachary tries to focus down his counterpart, but now he will not be able to hunt him down any further, as it is just Toronto Esports on the kill feed and Fusion University call the reset.
And we've seen a paradigm shift here from Toronto over this last map and into this map, where they're focusing the tanks much more heavily. And the biggest recipient has been Crackalacken, constantly under mech pressure from Nero and the Sombra.
Now, Fusion University, they have the bomb, they have the blade, but they have to face off against the EMP of Nero. Does Alarm know where it is? Pulse Bomb stuck, but it did not finish them off. They did not have the follow-up damage there, so Zachary once again on the high ground here. And oh, Crackalacken receiving that focus once again.
They used the EMP in response to the dive and it worked out. Nero stayed alive, didn't give his life. Alarm already down. Who Are You? Blading to the back, but the barrier from Cruz coming out after he was able to heal. Dalton finishes him off. The barrier does nothing, and Toronto Esports weathers the storm 40% from forcing another map.
Now Fusion University, they use that blade, they use the bomb, they don't have the offensive ultimate, but they do have both the barrier along with the transcendence. We'll see if Beast Halo can do something. Try and trade space for Zachary. He gets dove upon. Self-destruct was even used. He dropped down low, but the sound barrier is there to keep him alive. Who are you? Takes out Guardian because he was out of his mech using that self-destruct, and now they charge forward. But the Coalescence is dropping Alarm and Elk low.
And Alarm had such good control there. He knew he wasn't going to die. He saved the Transcend. Elk fends off Dalton, and Fusion will be moving back in, but taking City Center is hard. Toronto can delay this for a while. The question is, do they want to at 98%? I don't think they're going to retake this. I don't think you should be feeding Fusion more ults. It might be time to give this one up. You still have so much time to work.
Now the High Noon does come out. Zachary does not connect with that Deadeye, but he does get that headshot as Guardian was demexed by Who Are You? Who Are You? Able to come alive here, keep his team in this, but it looked more like Toronto just called the reset there finally.
Fusion working with the big edge here, and yet, Jamerson, you take a look at it, a well-placed EMP can ruin all of it, especially if you get Alarm early on.
Nero, the last time he tried to go after Alarm, was taken for a loop there, wasn't able to find him. We'll see. Where is he positioned now? Stealth in is Nero. He is looking for his chance, but Who Are You is trying to keep them in check.
Meanwhile, Nero not quite able to find Alarm in the moment. We'll see if he can find him in just a second. The pulse bomb out Axiom, but he's able to back out. He's healed on up. Self-destruct, moving up from Fusion University, does not connect. Toronto playing very intelligently and just moving around. Now they're going to counter down. The Colossus out, but Nero is taken down. He used the EMP and Alarm fended him off. What a fantastic play on the other side.
Transcendence is used to keep Beast Halo alive as Krakenlaken doesn't receive that benefit. He does get demexed, but the counter engage out from Fusion University nets them to eliminations. Alarm did ultimately fall at the end of that, but it's still Fusion University all up on that kill feed, mowing down the members. Axiom finally gets the kill onto Zachary, but he has to give up his life for it. Overtime ticking away as Toronto was able to flip the point during that re-engagement, but Fusion University need to fight back.
Oh man, Cruz made that a war there towards the end. Toronto now just delaying where they had control of the point, flipped. Fusion not getting nearly as much from that engage as they would have liked time-wise.
Toronto buy themselves a lot of time with that because of how long that fight could have gone. Fusion University should be within one fight territory, but it depends on how long it takes Toronto to try and re-engage here. They're going to go ahead and push forward. Elk has a sound barrier for this next engagement.
Fusion likely 2 fights away here from the championship. Toronto, though, a strong chance to bring it back. Axiom coming in from the top, looking for who to get on in the moment. Dalton has supports in his sights. Pulse bomb's ready, looking for who to go after. Zachary taking the elevator. When McCree's fly, it's High Noon in more ways than one. He's Dalton, he does! Oh my goodness! Dalton challenged the sun and he got burned.
Dalton tried to go for the big boy play, but it was outdone by that Deadeye out from Zachary, and now Toronto Esports are in such a terrible spot. We do have, once again, the EMP, but Alarm punishes it. Once again, another trans out for him. Self-destruct is going to get used by Guardian, but that gets nothing.
Toronto now desperate to move on in. Fusion on the verge of getting the championship here. It's the end of City Center. Guardian under assault. Gonna get D-Max. Shu doesn't get there in time. Fusion now on what could be final cleanup. Pulse bomb does not stick. Cruz shakes the pulse bomb. Both teams in the frame. On Zachary! Over and over! Overtime is ticking down at Fusion University. You are the champion of North America.
And they live up to their 5-map curse. But what's a curse to a blessing when they have a 100% win rate there on Oasis? Fusion University are your North American champions, and they will be moving on to take on the British Hurricane in our Atlantic Showdown.
Fusion University, they go to 5 even when it's a best of 7. Why not?
Congratulations, boys. They must be happy. Zachary on such a good upward trajectory, especially after last year. Now, though, here with Fusion University, he has become such a champion.
It's such a redemption story for Zachary where, of course, he had his struggles on Renegades, but he has played so well for Fusion all season long. And yeah, Who Are You gets a lot of the praise here, but Zachary having just a phenomenal day here, especially towards the end.
Like the Renegades, it might be time to actually retire that story now because Zachary is the champion. Philadelphia, oh, they must be happy. Another champion within that region.
Fusion, of course, very much supportive of their team. We even had Tucker, the president of the Fusion, fly on out here to support his boys. So got to be happy for that one. His support getting well rewarded here. And, you know, Fusion as an org has said that they very much respect the developmental scene, how they think things like Contenders are great, and how they want to be a part of building the path to pro and bringing these guys up to the next level.
Yeah, and speaking of development, I mean, there's still so much to do, right? We have so many underage players. We got to see Dalton and Nero on Toronto. Sharp is still 16 from Optic. I believe Ripa over on Giganti is only 17 years old. There's a lot of these players coming up, and now your eyes can't help but be trained on them.
No doubt about it. But guys, to break things down and do a little bit of interview with the players, we're going to send it off to the desk.
There you have it, your North American champions for Overwatch Contenders Season 1. Fusion University unbeaten throughout the season. That was an impressive performance. And right there at the end, they pulled it out and made sure that they could name themselves the champions.
Perfect 8-0 record here for Fusion University, and I imagine they're very proud, and I imagine Aero is very proud of them as well. Their head coach who left recently, they did have Kirby fly out from Philadelphia Fusion along with Tucker, and you can see just how much this organization cares about the path to pro to support these young players in their moment of glory.
Yeah, not only that, every single one of the member of the Fusion just seemed to pop off. Every single one had their own moment. You had Elk, Zach at the end there. That guy is a monster. McCree. There's just so many highlight plays you can just pull from that just single game.
Talking about players and highlights, we have the Old Spice player of the match, and we have got confirmation that it is in fact Alarm. Let's take a look at some of his impressive plays. Nearly every single player in this competition says they are the most afraid of this man, and we're about to find out why.
Well, Alarm played well throughout the entire series, but just what's fresh in your memories, ladies and gentlemen, let's look no further than Oasis, where usually, as a Zenyatta, a Sombra is your worst enemy, but Alarm had nerves of steel when facing up against the Sombra of Nero. He managed to take him out mid-EMP quite a few times, managed to take him out after EMPs. Who needs shields when you're Zenyatta? 50 HP and a couple of orbs of destruction, that's plenty for Alarm.
That is crazy, by the way. How would you out-duel a Sombra as soon as she's used that? You get a couple of seconds, well, not even a couple, sorry. You get about half a second to react. Shields are all gone, 3/4 of your health, see you later, and then a 60 clip SMG looking you down the eyes, the middle of your eyes, sorry, and he just faces it off, no worries. There's no way in hell you could really replicate that in anywhere else, but you can really trust Alarm in a Zenyatta player.
I really like that Legday said Alark, because I feel like that's the love child of Alarm and Elk, and no one ever wants to see that person in game ever, because that would be terrifying. Fusion was really strong, but Toronto on that last map especially, we started to see them really fighting back. Credit to them, the grit that we saw there, because I thought for a moment they were going to spin it in their favor.
And as much as we talk about Alarm fighting Sombras, Nero Sombra on its own was incredibly effective. He did so much map control, making sure that Fusion University were never sitting pretty on that point for long. And unfortunately, there were a few missteps on the point by both teams to allow captures that probably shouldn't have gone through, so maybe small amounts of pressure getting to them, and the pressure was amplified by Nero on that Sombra.
Let's take a look at Fusion's journey here to being called the champions. They have had an unbeaten run the whole way through. Such impressive play from them. And like we said though, Toronto, that confidence, not unfounded. I'm excited to see what happens with that group of young players.
Yeah, most definitely. Nero specifically, I want to touch on again. This guy, again, so young. Jamerson just said it then. He's just a player that you can really expect a whole lot more coming over the next couple of seasons of Contenders. These players can only grow from here.
I now have Ulk from Fusion University standing next to me. We get to chat to you. It was a close matchup, but for the most part, it really looked like you had read the opposition really well.
Yeah, so in the regular season, we'd only dropped one King of the Hill map, and that was Nepal to Optic. So that's why in my interview I said I thought they'd be the strongest opponent, because we're a really solid team when it comes down to those clutch 99-99 fights and really pulling it out.
We've chatted a lot about you. We've chatted a lot about Alarm. We've chatted about who are you. Who else on your team do you want to do a shout out to? And I'm quite happy for you to go through every single member, because I think maybe you'd want to.
I'll give a shout out to Beast and Kraken. I think they get a lot of flack because a lot of times they're the first to die in fights. But something really important in Overwatch is being the people who make space and make room for players like Zach, Alarm, and Who Are You to actually make plays that win matches. So I think they definitely deserve a lot of credit for being willing to be just selfless and kind of go in for Who Are You. Like when he blades, they both know they have to die before he does.
There you have it. Words from your champions, Fusion University, and it is Alk. He is also one of our nominees for the Old Spice Top Contender, and we're about to find out who you voted for and who won.